Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and after a successful weekend in the Scottish Cup for Celtic, it's time to catch up on what happens next. We have our opponents set for that final on the 25th of May. We know exactly what has to be done in the final run-in of this season, and we know exactly who we have to beat to try and win not just a league title, but now the Scottish Cup. So, that and all the other wee stories in between, it's time to discuss it all in today's video. Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It'd be much appreciated. We've just passed that 43,000 subscriber mark. We're trying to get as close as we can to 50k this year. So if you haven't already, it'd be much appreciated if you can drop down below, hit both of those buttons. It's absolutely free. So take a second of your time to do so if you haven't. So Celtic sealed their place in the Scottish Cup final with their victory on penalties against Aberdeen this past Saturday. A nervy affair. We done the match reaction on Saturday night. One of the nerviest games I've been to at Hampden, I must say. We made it hard for ourselves, but in the end, serial winners win games. And Celtic find themselves in yet another Scottish Cup final, looking to defend that trophy successfully from last year's victory. Although we now know our opponents. It's going to be a derby final for the first time since 2002. Yes, 2002. Can you believe it? 22 years. Celtic will play Rangers in a Scottish Cup final later next month. The 25th of May, to be precise. Of course, that historic date for Celtic, the 25th of May, the same date that we won the European Cup all those years ago. We have a chance to make more history by beating Rangers in the Scottish Cup final, should we find ourselves winners in that game. So Rangers of course won their game yesterday against Hearts in their semi-final tie. Yeah, not a great game. I didn't expect it to be Hearts as useless as they usually are, but Rangers done their job. They finished it up and booked themselves into a Scottish Cup final. Who knows what the situation will be heading into that game. Celtic or Rangers could be crowned champions of Scotland. Celtic could be fighting for a double. Rangers could be fighting for a treble. God knows what the situation will be. It's a huge game nonetheless. And look, you need to beat the best to be the best, don't you? And that's the only way that you can win these trophies, is if you do it by being on top of your game and beating the best that's in front of you. So if Celtic need to go out and beat Rangers again this season, then that's the job. That's the task in front of us. Celtic have played Rangers 3 times this year. They haven't lost once. We've beat them at Ibrox, we've beat them at Celtic Park, and of course most recently we drew with them at Ibrox as well. That'll be the 5th encounter of the season come Scottish Cup final, and there's a chance that Celtic could be in to that tie undefeated against Rangers in this campaign. Very funnily enough, Cyril Dessers came out and said he still believes that Rangers are the best in Scotland. Quite a funny statement to hit out with when you've not beat Celtic once this season, but this is a huge chance for Celtic to take comments like that and show them why they're false, why they're wrong, and why they're the top dogs in this country. So it's a game I look forward to. I think it'll be a very competitive one, especially considering how close it has been heading into this point in the season when it comes to the league table. A very nervy one, I'm sure it will be, but it's a challenge that the team relishes, that the manager relishes, and us as supporters and myself, we certainly relish. It's madness to think it's the first time in 22 years we'll meet each other in a Scottish Cup final. We've obviously been in plenty of semi-finals at Hampden in recent years, and we've of course played them in the League Cup final at Hampden in recent years. But no Scottish Cup final, which is just crazy to think about. When it comes to tickets, people already asking questions. When will they be out? What will the split be? How many tickets we getting, etc. We know it'll be a 50-50 split down the middle. There's not going to be any arsing about with all that. We know exactly how it works when it comes to these games in terms of when the tickets will go on sale. I think we've still got a while to wait for that. I'm not looking forward to the ballot procedure. It'll be a nervy one to see if we make it. I'm hoping my great luck continues in the first ballots. But yeah, we'll wait for details, and whenever those details emerge, we'll be here on the channel to report it. But you know, just be the standard setup. You know, Celtic end, Rangers end, feisty one, and it could be a massive day in the season for Scottish football. The schedule means we have 6 games left before this campaign comes to an end. It includes those 5 split fixtures, which we do play Rangers in at Celtic Park, of course, on the 11th of May, but we've got that run-in of Dundee, Hearts, Rangers, Kilmarnock and St Mirren before we take on Rangers on the 25th of May at Hampden. So it's going to be a feisty end to the season. There's a lot on the line, as Brendan Rodgers has touched on, and as I've said a million times on this channel. Look, you've got to take it a game at a time and just focus on each challenge as it comes. There's no point in looking ahead to this Scottish Cup final yet. There's a league title to win before that. I think a lot of people will be putting the priority on that league title. A double is, of course, exactly what we're wanting to end the season with. That would be a very successful season, I think, when you consider the ups and downs we've went through. But a game at a time. There's no point in skipping forward to Scottish Cup finals yet. So 25th of May will come eventually. But first, you've got Dundee at the weekend, and that's the priority for me at the minute. We spoke about Dundee a moment ago and saying how focus now turns to that game. Well, there has been news considering the game against Dundee this weekend in regards to ticket allocation. Celtic have received a lesser amount of tickets for Dens Park this weekend than what they have on previous occasions, which is another one of the teams who have decided to cut numbers. The exact seem to be as follows. Celtic have been given 3,323 tickets by Dundee for the fixture this weekend, which is obviously a reduced amount to the 3,737 tickets that we had on our previous visit. So 414 fewer tickets for Dens Park this weekend. It's not the end of the world. It's not like, you know, we're cutting 1,000 people away from the game, but it's just another one of these ones where there's less fans getting going. And we know what it's going to be like when we watch this game on Sunday. There'll be empty seats everywhere in the home end, and there is going to be fewer Celtic fans there for whatever reason. I don't think an exact reason has actually been given. It's not like Dundee have released a club statement saying that Celtic have been given lesser tickets for such and such reason. So a bit of a mystery as to why there is less. I don't know if Dundee are anticipating more being sold, but I don't suspect that will be the case because Dens Park's never full. So yeah, a weird one. Less tickets for Celtic this weekend, which has caused a bit of a fuss for criteria and such. I wouldn't be there anyway, so it's not like I'm complaining. But yeah, it's just annoying because it seems to be every away venue this is happening at now. It has been quiet in regards to news over the past couple of days. I think the dust is just kind of settling on Scottish Cup weekend. But there was one story that we didn't cover on the channel that you might have missed that came out on Friday evening surrounding Darren O'Dea and a new role being formed at the club in regards to player development. This was the headlines on Celtic.com. Darren O'Dea was appointed as professional player pathway manager. Celtic Football Club is delighted to announce that former Celtic defender and B-team head coach Darren O'Dea has been appointed to the position of professional player pathway manager with the aim of developing progression of players at the club. Reporting to the head of Celtic's youth academy in this important new role, Darren will work with the first team manager Brendan Rodgers, the head of the academy coaching and club's B team and academy coaches, ensuring the effective development of players to play for Celtic through the development and maintenance of strong relationships with all clubs across the leagues, both with Scotland and further afield. The role will also manage loan opportunities, which will support player pathways and development opportunities. So it seems a role is being created at the club to help kind of fix that problem when bridging the kind of, or when it comes to crossing that bridge of becoming a senior player from youth level at Celtic. As we know in recent years, we've all been very critical of it. Celtic haven't been effective enough in creating young stars. We haven't created enough young players who have came in and been effective to the first team. Is that just down to general quality? I don't know, but it's just there's not been a clear pathway. We haven't been bringing up enough youth players, and the ones that have been coming up and having a part to play, they haven't really cemented themselves as first team regulars. Guys like Ralston and Welsh, they've come and gone, they've played, you know, sporadic minutes here and there, but they've never been nailed down first team options. And that's something that has to change. The quality has to be better. So Darren O'Dea has been appointed as professional player pathway manager. And I don't want to get overly negative about things because I think it's going to be a lot of trial and error, and I think there's a whole sort of rejuvenation needed when it comes to these roles at the club and these areas. I don't think this is going to be the quick fix by any means. But I think there's been a lot made of, and rightly so, that Darren O'Dea has once again just been appointed in one of these roles which should be really having a much more stressed importance on it. I feel like there's got to be a lot more looked into it than just handing it to someone who's been a coach at Celtic for years now. it does feel like that old pals act is just coming up again. Like, well, Darren, we like you, we know you, here's the job. Is this not a role which we should be outsourcing in? That we should be looking for people at the very best at their field when it comes to developing young players? You look at clubs down south nowadays, like your Brightons, who have been very effective at it and have hired from overseas. They've brought in the right footballing people. You look at Manchester United, who are now getting started in that kind of a area with Jim Ratcliffe coming in and looking for all these new appointments. Manchester City, who have been so effective in it. Why are Celtic just giving it to a former player and a coach who hasn't really been doing that well with the B team? B team's not been playing too well. It just feels like we've handed the job out. And that does kind of annoy me, but listen, as I said, I'm going to reserve all my judgment for now and my negativity around it, because I feel like there's so much that has to be done. Celtic have a lot to do in regards to bringing us up to date with the modern world in football, and we just need to wait to see what happens. But we need to be a better youth, have a better youth system in place, and hopefully this is a first step, but quite a weird one. Right then, that does it for today's video. Apologies for the lack of big news, but sadly, I'm not a tycoon. I don't control the news. I don't make the stories. I report the stories and give my opinion to said stories. But hopefully over the coming week, building towards that Dundee game, we hear something. Some transfer news maybe, some injury fitness updates, whatever. And we'll be right here on the channel for it. It's a quick wee way to start the week, I suppose. So if you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.